Dutch voters have overwhelmingly rejected a deal aimed at bringing closer ties between the European Union and Ukraine. In a referendum held on Wednesday, voters said no to furthering the process that would strengthen economic and political ties between the 28-member bloc and the Eastern European nation. The plan has been ratified by all members of the EU except the Netherlands. Now, the referendum is non-binding and came after more than 300,000 people in the Netherlands signed a petition demanding a vote on the proposals. Now, the Dutch Foreign Minister Bert Koenders says the ratification of the treaty cannot go ahead as planned because the people have spoken against it. Let's take a look at the numbers behind the vote. Now, 61% of voters opposed the deal. 38% voted to bring Ukraine closer to Europe. Now, the threshold of 30% voter turnout in order to make the referendum valid was reached. Well, the results come in just 3 months before Britain votes to decide whether it will stay or leave the EU. Well, for more on the possible British exit and the Netherlands' impact, we're joined by Jon Brain from London. So, Jon, what does this mean for the EU's relationship with the Netherlands?
Well, bear in mind that this was a vote about a very dry, technical 2,000-page document setting out a trade treaty between the EU and Ukraine. Not the sort of thing that usually involves the public at all, but because of the Dutch constitution, as you were saying, a certain number of people put forward an online petition and a referendum had to be held. But this has been really taken over by anti-EU campaigners in the Netherlands, and it appears that their message has got through. People, the way that vote's gone, it's not to do with the Ukraine, it's to do with their attitude towards the European Union, and it's clear that it's unearthed a great deal of disillusionment both with EU leaders and more specifically in the Netherlands with immigration. There is a feeling there, as there is across much of Europe, that the EU is failing to protect its borders against the influx of refugees.
And Jon, turning to Britain's response, the Supreme Leader of Britain to leave the EU, Nigel Farage, spoke before this vote. You say it's dry, but this could have a real impact on how Britain's vote come June.
I think he'd be rather pleased to be described as a supreme leader. Yes, it's certainly been seen as a huge boost to the so-called Brexit campaign, those who want to leave the EU. There's a feeling that if the Dutch can be persuaded to start turning against the EU, the Netherlands being one of the founder members, then it'll be much easier to persuade the British people to vote likewise, to leave altogether, because there is a more inherent scepticism in Britain anyway towards all things European. The government here clearly worried. They've already announced that they'll be sending 27 million leaflets out to homes across the UK, setting out the case for staying in the EU. That's proving controversial as well. So there's clearly everything to play for here.
Absolutely. The leaflet war begins. Jon, thank you.